morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tackling Basketball Podcast. I'm Evan.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we have a special guest today, our buddy from college, Micah.
Hello.
Micah, if you want to give us a quick rundown of what sports teams you root for so that everybody has that context going into this here.
Also, like your credentials. Why are you on this show?
Credentials, absolutely none. Not sure why I'm here. But I, like Evan, is from Oregon, so big, huge Portland Trailblazers fan, despite how difficult it has been past couple years. And then love the Timbers and soccer. Good old Oregon. And then don't really have any stake in MLB, but big fan of the Miami Dolphins. They're my team. Picked them about 7 years ago when they were awful. Rid with them since, and hopefully things are starting to look up now.
Hopefully.
Definitely are. It's a high-powered offense, but we'll get into that later. Have a pretty darn fun agenda here today. Of course, Goat and Dick of the Week. We'll go to NBA trade rumors because throughout like the next 6 weeks, there'll be a ton of them. We'll be doing an NBA All-Time Starting 5, which will be a blast, and then we'll cap it off with our AFC East division predictions. But of course, starting out with Goat and Dick of the Week, and we'll start with our guest here for the first one. So Micah, who is your GOAT of this week?
My GOAT of the week is Victor Oladipo.
All right.
Cashing in $9.5 million on a season maybe he'll play. The last 4 years, he's played a total of 81 games and just got injured these last playoffs in the knee again. So who knows if he's even going to play at all next year. So
He's your GOAT?
yeah, he just cashed in almost $10 million. He's not going to do a thing.
That's fair, yeah.
He's living great.
That's a big dub for Victor Oladipo.
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like I loved Oladipo when he was in Pacers and Thunder. It's been a bummer seeing all the injuries, but good for him. He's still getting paid.
Yeah, for sure. All right, over to my GOAT of the week, and that would be the Washington Wizards, because they listened to my advice last week that you still haven't heard yet because we haven't published, which is to draft Bilal Coulibaly, the guard that played with Victor Wembanyama and who is one of very few talented playmakers in this draft. I think that a lot of people and a lot of teams, and sort of natural to the mid of the first round, they took people that are going to be career role players. They're excellent at a few areas, and they're not great distributors. They're just going to be spot-up shooters or lane drivers or defenders. But the Wizards got away with someone who could legitimately have a chance at defining their franchise for the next few years and sort of possibly giving them someone to build around in a playmaker who is able to just set his whole team up for success. So shout out to them for trading up just one draft slot to be able to nab him.
This will likely be the first and the last time that you hear the Washington Wizards listed as a GOAT of the week on this podcast. But to my GOAT of the week, I have Scoot Henderson. Reason I put him down is I think he landed in a pretty good spot for himself. If the Blazers wind up keeping Dame, he gets to learn from Damian Lillard. He gets to learn how to shoot threes from Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is a fantastic leader, and Scoot will be able to develop in that area. So that's a win for him. Or if Dame winds up winning out, Scoot gets to become the guy in Portland and would immediately be embraced by that fan base and get to go from there and be kind of the center of a rebuild. So I think no matter how you look at it for Scoot, he's in a very good situation. Even though, and we'll talk about this later, I may not be the biggest fan in the world of what the Blazers are currently doing, I think Scoot's going to be fantastic in the NBA. So congrats to Scoot. And he secured the bag by being a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. So he'll be getting paid a lot of money as a guy who has yet to play a single game in the NBA. So congratulations to him.
Yeah. But, guest, what do you have for your Dick of the Week?
My Dick of the Week is that the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like John Collins has been on the trade block for 5 years now. At any point during those last 5 years, they could have gotten significantly more than Rudy Gay and a second round pick.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they dragged it out for so long just for this measly return is truly embarrassing.
Sort of reminds me of Evan's dick last week.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Blazers.
No. But I mean, we talked a little bit about Bradley Beal last week and how like his situation's pretty similar. Just a team that held on for too long and now they're sort of suffering for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm not the highest on John Collins, but I still think can make a significant impact on any team that he's on. So, his return was just so bad.
Yeah, for sure. Now over to my dick, and for the second week in a row, again, we haven't published that podcast yet, sorry. I will be picking someone from the world of baseball, and that is just low-hanging fruit always, but especially this week, the Colorado Rockies are a shit show.
What do you mean?
I mean, they need to fire everybody and sell the team and just start over, and maybe in the next 15 years they'll be good. But for now, they're just going to be busy allowing 23 runs in the first 3 innings to the Angels and losing in the worst fashion in the franchise history.
To be fair to them, they scored less runs than the Angels in that series, but won the series. So...
Yay! Maybe they should have been my goat of the week. Or they could just perpetually be the dick of the week until they make a change that has any chance of ever vaulting them out of the worst spot in their division. And they just continue to refuse to do so, and they continue to suffer. It was on full display this week.
Oh, I'm depressed. All right. My dick of the week is the freaking New York Mets. God, where to start? How do you spend $500 million and be last place in your division? It is pretty incredible. And boy, if Steve Cohen was trying to show sports fans all over the world why there doesn't need to be a salary cap in the MLB, he's doing a pretty damn good freaking job of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I was optimistic at the beginning of the season, but I still had a lot of concerns as to why they were giving 2 guys who should be in retirement homes $45 million contracts to pitch. And those concerns have kind of come to pass. The Mets aren't good. They're incredibly bad. Last place in their division. Currently 15 and a half games back in the NL East. The last time they were this many games back was 2003, where they wound up winning only 66 games on the season. So, and while they're not on pace to do that poorly, 15 and a half games back at essentially at the All-Star break here, very close to it. They're not going to be winning the division unless everybody else falls apart. More than likely not going to be making playoffs. So, frickin' New York Mets, man. Dick of the week. But with that, we'll transition away from one depression and head over to a different one for NBA trades and rumors. And we're going to get freaking right into it.
It's a good week to have a Blazers fan as guest star.
Oh, yeah. Get right into it with Damian Lillard. News kind of coming out over the past couple of days since the draft is that Damian Lillard finally went and met with Blazers front office, Joe Cronin, supposedly Jody Allen as well, and has essentially given them like his optimum situation, which would be re-signing Jeremy Grant and signing Draymond Green. Not sure how realistic that is, but he's told the Blazers that he will give them through free agency a little bit. He's going to give them a month or 2 to see what they can do before deciding that he would want out. So Micah, we'll ask the resident guest Blazers fan, do you think Dame will be wearing a Blazers uniform at the start of this next season? Or do you think he'll be somewhere else?
At the start of the season, I would be very, very surprised if he is in another jersey. By the time it gets to the trade deadline, that's when I have no idea. It's hard for me to imagine that no matter what our front office does, that Dame wouldn't give it a little bit of time to see if it would work. But who knows? I mean, it's hard to imagine anything different from last season happening, and I have a good feeling that we're going to get halfway through the season, trade deadline gets close, we're bottom of the play-in race, and he finally asks out. But who knows? Maybe we can actually sign some people, but I think at least to start the season, I think we'll have Dame still.
Yeah, that's probably fair. You just look to, there's such a limited amount of teams who we could trade him to as well. Like, I feel like Miami's really the main and only option, maybe Brooklyn, but even Brooklyn's kind of in their own rebuild and may not truly want to go after a 32-year-old point guard, and it sounds like they refuse to give up Bridges, which the Blazers should, Cronin, if they trade with the Nets, should require to get Bridges back in return for Dame.
But there'd be no point for Brooklyn to trade.
Exactly.
If they trade Bridges, they have no shot at winning.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the big thing for me, I think, is they're almost too late already to trade him this offseason, because you have so many competitive teams who either were never interested in gaining another piece or they've already done it. And at this point, it'll be difficult, especially if we're talking post-free agency, with like trying to make salaries work out, because Dame is not a cheap player over the next few years. So as soon as these competitive teams like fill out their salary and are like that's over, like they can't find a fair trade for Dame at that point, even if they wanted to. So a mid-season move might make the most sense, or even next offseason. I think that they probably should have been looking into it sooner, because I am a little afraid that this could turn out sort of like what we were just talking about, another trade where they missed their window for like a lot of return.
Yeah.
for sure. With that said, though, Micah, over to Scoots. What do you think? Are you happy that the Scoot era in Portland has now begun?
I am excited. I mean, like, when you get that kind of a young talent, I'm not surprised that we didn't trade him away. It's hard to trade away something like that, even if we're already so guard heavy and need changes. No matter what we do, we need to make changes in our front court or back court. But no, Scoot looks so good. Whether Dame is here or not, like you alluded to, he's gonna play great, and he's gonna be a big piece for us, hopefully for the long term. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Blazers do around him. I think we're both now currently hoping that the plan is to trade away Simons. As much as I love Ant, he just no longer has a fit there. I mean, shit, Scoot and Dame barely fit together. They're both 6'1", 6'2" ball dominant guards. Which, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that we did that for about 8 or 9 years with CJ and Dame. So
we made the playoffs every time.
67% of the time, it worked every time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I worry a little bit about Scoot, partially because of just the history of the NBA draft. It's really, really, really rare that there's not at least one bust in the top 3. And if I were to pick one this year, it would be Scoot. I think
not Wemby.
The only way in my mind that it's Wemby is if he's injured his whole career. Like, he's a generational prospect that we've been skipping on this podcast because it's just boring to talk about how great he is. And Brandon Miller's game I just see as a little bit more complete, like scorer from multiple levels, whereas Scoot's like primarily a finisher at the rim. And even I would say Brandon Miller's a little bit better of a distributor, even though Scoot was able to threaten that in college. We see a lot in the NBA nowadays of players who are primarily inside scorers struggle to distribute because they don't command a lot of gravity in the NBA. And I would say that out of the 3 prospects, he has the lowest gravity in the top 3. So I worry a little bit about like his floor. At least I think that he has the lowest floor of any of them, the highest bust potential. But of course, he's a top 3 player with a lot of like physical talent and athleticism. So Blazers fans should have like every right to be excited about him, and he has a great shot of being like of proving me wrong there.
Hope so. Good point, so.
Yeah.
You can't just let Blazers fans have some shred of hope. Like, come on, man. But enough of the Blazers, because I don't know if my brain and heart can take it anymore. Over now to chatting about the 3-way trade that occurred between the Boston Celtics, the Washington Wizards, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Lots of pieces exchanged there, but essentially the 2 biggest things coming out of the trade was Kristaps Porzingis to Boston, Marcus Smart to Memphis. We'll start with Kristaps Porzingis. What do you guys think about his fit in Boston, and do you think the Unicorn will have a bit of a renaissance here after being mediocre over the past couple of years?
I hope so. Like, I really liked Kristaps when he was in New York.
Yeah.
His last stints have been just not good at all. Hopefully, like, I mean, in Boston, assuming they keep Jaylen Brown, like, he should be a third option. And for him, I feel like that's where he should be. Who knows, though? It's so hard to tell with him anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like his fit with Boston makes sense as to like the fact that they haven't had anybody in the front court who can really score and do anything around the rim. So realistically, if he plays well, he would be a perfect complement to Brown and Tatum. But that's the big question: is he going to play well?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it from like, they need someone in the dunker spot on offense, and he probably fulfills that with a little bit more like technical skill than like your traditional dunker, but he could do that.
Better than Al Horford.
It's just such, I mean, even if Kristaps is good in Boston, I find this trade almost egregious. It's like they had this incredible like 2-way player, and they once again make the decision as a franchise that they've been criticized for over and over again, which is like trade away assets for draft picks, try to stretch out their team, take more shots in the draft. Like it just at some point it doesn't make sense. Like we've heard, like you got to cash in at some point. You got to like push the chips in and try to push for the championship. And the Celtics continue to refuse to do that. And in fact, they keep like pulling chips back off the table, and it's really weird to me. And like the Nuggets sort of proved this last year that you are able to build your team. You don't need to necessarily make huge trades for huge pieces. I mean, Aaron Gordon was an obvious like addition to the team, but outside of that, they have not done any huge splashes in free agency or the trade market. But even still, like, Boston isn't there yet. I don't know why they are like this close to stardom and they are playing so reserved.
Especially after making it to the finals and then Eastern Conference Finals in back-to-back years. Like, this is the time to go all in.
Yeah, for sure. Now, on the flip side of it, the guy that they gave up, one of the best 2-way players in the game, I believe former Defensive Player of the Year, right?
2 years ago, yeah.
Who now joins the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr., in Memphis, Marcus Smart. Personally, I think Memphis is looking pretty damn dangerous, especially on the defensive side of the ball after this trade. And Marcus, with John Morant being out for 25 games, this is going to help bridge that gap at the beginning of the season, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost a weird trade all around for me, but I do like Smart going to Memphis there. They obviously feel like they're close, having a little bit of an issue with that suspension, but I mean, they were the 2 seed this year, so thinking that they can push the chips in and sort of go for it with a great defensive piece to surround a really talented offense, as well as Jaren Jackson Jr. is just... it's an exciting move for them. I think it's decent, like, team building as well. It's an all-in move, but I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how they wound up getting to piggyback off of that trade, but Memphis was the only team that came out winning in that situation.
Right?
Yeah, Memphis did great.
Yeah.
Props to them. Now over to Draymond Green. I think we talked about it on the podcast. We still have yet to. Yep. You'll listen to that one first, then you'll come to this one, and you'll hear us talk about the fact that Draymond Green opted out of his player option with the Golden State Warriors and is now officially a free agent. Talked about the fact that Damian Lillard would love to have him come to Portland, which could be interesting. He is friends with Draymond, but Micah, outside of Golden State, what landing spots do you see for Draymond?
Honestly, it's hard for me to imagine him not staying with Golden State. I feel like Golden State's move of getting rid of Jordan Poole helps with this to get another veteran who I still don't understand that move. But, like, Golden State won the whole thing 2 years ago with Draymond, Steph, and Clay. Like, they are still so good. They got another veteran guard. It's hard for me to imagine him leaving. If he did go, I think pretty much any team in the league would be lucky to have him.
Oh, for sure.
He fits in everywhere. He's just a great defender, facilitator, creator. Everything he does is great. But I think Golden State's going to do everything they can to keep him, and I don't see him leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of alluded to it on the last podcast with Draymond, is that him opting out almost felt like, in part, a move to kind of force the Warriors to get rid of Jordan Poole because they hate each other, and now Jordan Poole is gone. So situation's perfect for Draymond there. I'm kind of with Dame. I like the idea of having Draymond in Portland. Obviously, as a Blazers fan, it'd be fantastic. But even just you just look at the way the Blazers are built right now, and in terms of what they need from a player, they need a Draymond Green. So if Cronin can somehow manage to pull that off, I would forgive the large majority of his transgressions as a GM so far, and would take back all of the mean things that I have thought about him in my head over the past couple of weeks, which is a lot. So, but we'll see how it goes. Jonathan, what do you think's happening with Draymond?
I think that he will sign a veteran minimum deal with the Denver Nuggets and go on to win 3 more championships in the next 3 years.
I fucking hate you.
I mean, yeah, Warriors is most likely in my mind still. He's just so ingrained in that culture, and so, like, it's rare to spend your entire career with a single team and then to move at the last moment. And so I think that familiarity, chemistry wins out here. If he moves on, honestly, Portland will be high on the list in my mind. Go next to a star player that you're familiar with who's asking for you. So I would watch out for them. And then outside of that, I don't know his motivation, if he's chasing money or another ring. I would probably assume money at this point. So I don't know, maybe look for the Nets or someone as like an underdog, but yeah.
He's going to the Pistons. Last person we'll talk about here in these rumors is Paul George. I think I saw it today that it looks like the New York Knicks might wind up having some interest, but Micah, where do you see PG heading to if the Clippers do in fact decide to trade him away?
I don't know. It's another one where it's hard for me to imagine him leaving. Like, I understand the Clippers have just been struggling so hard ever since they got PG and Kawhi together. Just so many injuries. Even still, if I were the Clippers, you have both of these amazing two-way players.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with how much they spent, you just gotta hope that the stars align and they can stay healthy. Like, I don't know who would really trade for him, because even as far as a team trying to do a win-now move, it's still risky with how injury-prone he is.
Yeah.
So, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the Knicks making that push could potentially make sense for them. I could see them saying, like, hey, we're right on the precipice there, and let's bring him in, especially with how young that team is, like, the idea of having him be the veteran presence. But honestly, outside of the Knicks, I'm not really sure I see another great option, like especially like for a contender, maybe the Cavaliers, but they already have Donovan Mitchell playing the 2, so you'd probably move Paul George to the 3 there. But yeah,
Man, I would actually really like to see that.
That would be really cool.
That would be really fun.
I would like that.
Yeah.
The real question, though, is: do you think that he gets that the Clippers get 4 firsts, 3 swaps, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Danilo Gallinari for him?
Danilo Gallinari.
Oh, that's so rough.
I mean, we have to remember though that like the trade was Kawhi was coming as well.
Yeah.
It was like a free agency trade effective, but also even still, it did not pan out well.
Especially looking at Shy Guy last year.
Yeah.
My goodness, he's so good.
I mean, it's probably 4 firsts for Shy right now. So you look at it, it was really like 8 firsts, 3 swaps, and of course, Danilo Gallinari.
You just have to remember, the Thunder's GM is a freaking wizard who is able to trick everyone into literally anything.
Yeah.
Because the amount of freaking firsts the Thunder have over the next 3 years is absolutely goddamn absurd.
Man.
From there, we'll transition into segment we're all very excited for is NBA all-time starting 5 draft. And when we say starting 5, we're going to do all-time starting 5 plus a 6th man. Going to do a draft between the 3 of us here. We'll do it snake style, so whoever gets the first pick winds up with the 4th pick later. Or the
Third round reversal as well. Which means like whoever has the 3rd pick in the first round has the 1st pick in the 2nd and 3rd round to offset the goats. But yeah.
With that said, though, I just pulled up a random number generator to just decide who goes first, 2nd, and 3rd right now. So this is for Jonathan, 3rd.
Dope.
For Micah, 1st. And I'm 2nd. So we will kick it off.
I call it rigged.
I really wanted to be 3rd. I had a whole plan.
Really?
Yeah, I had a whole plan. It was going to be perfect.
I would have loved 2nd, I think. Let me guess, you wanted 1st?
I don't think I thought that far ahead. I barely got my list of players down, man. All right, but Micah, who are you taking with your first pick in this all-time starting draft here?
All right. To be clear, we talked earlier about
Yes.
the stipulations. We want this to be if they're playing modern day rules, modern day game.
Just which
And-
team would win. It's
Yeah.
not about who has the best accolades, who has like the bigger names. Just if you put these teams in a game, who would win?
So first overall, I'm gonna go with LeBron. I think it's between him and MJ, but I think in today's game, building a team, I think he's the best facilitator. Yeah.
Why did I have to have the 2nd pick? Second pick. This is gonna piss people off. I'm gonna take Tim Duncan at power forward.
Okay, that's huge.
All right.
Well,
I'm probably throwing here, but it's fine.
thanks everybody. I'm going MJ 3rd. I mean, just a talented scorer and distributor, so very arguably the GOAT, so very happy to get him. And you've thrown off my strategy too.
I love chaos.
Yes, you do. My God, am I tempted by someone who I'm not going to say just in case he falls to me again. But I'm going to go with Magic Johnson. Just... Sorry, Micah. Just, again, team chemistry, beautiful distributor, talented scorer. I am shocked by these first 2 picks, and I'm very happy, so...
Oh, well, if we're talking about today's NBA, no better player to take than Steph Curry. So I'm going to take Steph at my point guard.
Very fair, yeah.
right. I'll take Kareem.
All right.
Center. And
Yeah, we can throw out third round reversal since he gave me MJ.
oh, I forgot about that.
Like, I almost feel bad taking first in the third round.
Are you giving me the pick then?
I guess.
All right, I'll take it then. Let's go. Oh man. I'll take Kobe.
All right, not bad.
All right. Well, let's see here. To pair with Steph, I'm gonna go D-Wade.
All right. Yeah, I like it. So I've got two guards right now, Magic and MJ.
He's gonna go guard again.
And damn it if I'm not gonna know. They're both talented distributors as well, so I'm not feeling very pressed to do what I was originally thinking, which is take someone who's probably a little bit lower rated, but good at that role. So rather, I'm gonna go with I think Giannis Antetokounmpo for my power forward spot. Imagine him just being your dunker. Like, if he's not like asked to be your number one guy, that's insane. And then let's round out the forwards right now with a talented 3-level scorer in Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get my center spot filled here, and I'm gonna take good old Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep, had to be him.
Yeah. All right. So you have power forward and a point guard. Yeah, it's hard to take him. So I'll go with Dirk.
All right, I like it.
And then to round it out.
Round out your starting five. You still got one bench.
Oh yeah, forgot. Yeah, good call. Point guard. Let's do.
This is a tough
This is
one.
really tough.
Why don't you say some names that you're thinking through?
I'm really between an AI and Nash.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Nash though.
All right.
Yeah.
I do like that one.
All right, so my team, I got my point guard, shooting guard, power forward, and center. So I just need a small forward, or I could just go small ball. Call me Joe Cronin. But I think instead, gotta do it. Gotta go with my man Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Take that shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, great late round pick for you. Man, got the 1 through 4 rounded out now, and the two best centers obviously off the board. Man, I'm fairly tempted to go no center here. But I do think that the defensive capabilities of Hakeem the Dream are just a little bit too inviting for me. So let's take Hakeem Olajuwon. And then to round it out, the final pick for me, and the first pick of our reserves, I'm going with, oh man, I might double down on defense here because we're going prime players, not how they currently are, obviously. Let's go with Kawhi Leonard.
I was gonna be my bench. Dang it.
Let's go. Oh, man. I've just destroyed Micah's hopes and dreams this draft.
Every pick.
He might be voting for my team if we did.
All right, for my bench guy, who do I want to go with here? Let's see. Could go with my man Jerry West, or do I want Charles Barkley? I'm gonna go with the logo. I'm taking Jerry West.
Oh man. Let's just get someone to piss off the other team. I'll take Kevin Garnett.
Fair.
I love it.
All right, so in recap, Jonathan's starting five. At the 1, he's got Magic Johnson. At the 2, Michael Jordan. At the 3, Kevin Durant. At the 4, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And at the 5, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, with Kawhi Leonard coming in off the bench.
I think I won. But you guys have to comment and let us know. That's the rule here.
Yes. Micah has got Steve Nash at the 1, Kobe Bryant at the 2, LeBron James at the 3, Dirk Nowitzki at the 4, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar coming in at the 5, and then Kevin Garnett being the menace off of the bench there for Micah. And then I have Steph Curry at my 1, Dwayne Wade at the 2, Larry Bird at the 3, Tim Duncan at the 4, Shaq at the 5, and then Jerry West off the bench.
Dang.
So, not gonna lie, as soon as I landed at the 2, the whole game plan was just to create chaos, because I hated the 2. So
that's fair.
But yeah, well,
Jonathan, yeah,
you can
your team.
you'll have to comment to let us know who you think is gonna win. I might have to go run some 2K sims, just like we did with the All-Star team, just to see what happens. I'm very curious, and we'll have every other roster spot just be 2K generated like 60 overall player, just to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan's team's probably winning that one.
Yeah, it's so good.
With that, we'll transition though away from the NBA and instead head over to the NFL. Continuing our division predictions segment here. This time around, we're going with the AFC East, which includes the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots. Micah, how about you kick us off with your AFC East division winner?
All right. I tried really hard to be rational and pick how I thought the games were going to go. Even still, and I was surprised about it, I got Dolphins winning the division at 13-4.
Damn.
I should have pulled this up beforehand. There it is. The only games I see us losing is at Buffalo, at Eagles, at Chiefs, and at Baltimore. I have us beating the Bills at Week 18 at home, and then all of the other games, like Chargers, I think could be difficult, but the other games I feel really good about. Obviously, this is assuming Tua can stay healthy and play all the games.
That's huge.
If he goes down, we're dead. But I mean, when he was playing last season, we were pretty darn good. We nearly won the wild card seed on our third string quarterback against the Bills. We were that close. So I feel good about us this year, but also this is a good division. So
yeah. I mean, Dolphins are perpetual underdogs, but they like to use that as fuel. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
All right, Jonathan, who you got as your division winner of the AFC East?
You know, I was also a little bit surprised at my division winner, and to be fair, it was only by one game over second place, but I had the New York Jets.
Wow.
Yeah, I talked a big game earlier this offseason about how I didn't believe that they were really a team that was ready for Aaron Rodgers, and the more I looked into it, the more I started to... That is a wild dog. But the more I looked into it, the more I started to sort of disagree with my own takes from earlier this offseason to say that, like, the Jets have almost unarguably the best secondary in the entire league. They have one of the most talented front seven in the league as well, to put them at a very potent defense, I would say. And then to back that up with one of the better receiving cores in this division. I'm not going to put them ahead of the Dolphins there. I think that's a real strength for the Dolphins, but great receiving core along with a very talented Aaron Rodgers veteran presence who certainly has the ability to elevate this roster. So I have the Bills with 13 wins this year, the Jets with 13 wins this year. Just losses against the Bills, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Really tough opponents, splitting the division, and then finding huge success outside of it.
Like it. All got completely different division winners. Love to see it. I'm
Patriots.
Hell yeah, you know, brother. I'm going with the Bills for my division winner at 12-5. I have them losing week 1 to the Jets, dropping a game to the Patriots, dropping a game to the Dolphins, going 3-3 because it is a tough division, and then losing on the road to the Bengals and Eagles, which I feel like are pretty obvious losses because those teams are tough, especially when you're facing them on the road. But yeah, I think the Bills are just... they're so good, especially if they can get things figured out with Stephon Diggs and keep him around. That duo between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs might be the most overpowered wide receiver and quarterback connection in the league currently. Yeah. You have Josh Allen, who's always a threat to rush for 100 yards a game with a touchdown. And now they've improved their running back situation. I think adding Damian Harris as kind of their goal line guy will be huge for the Bills this year. It's kind of been the piece they seem to be missing on offense. Mm-hmm. They've been relying on Josh Allen to kind of be the guy down there, and now they have a running back who can actually handle those goal line duties. And, of course, the Bills' defense is fantastic. So I have the Bills at 12-5 taking the division.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, over to Micah. Who is your runner-up in the AFC East?
Runner-up and only a game behind the Dolphins. I have the Bills. I had them going 12-5, losing against Bengals, Kansas City, Dolphins, and the Chargers at Week 16. That might just be hopeful thinking because I love me Justin Herbert. But, I mean, I think the Bills are the safest choice to win the division. They have been so good for the last couple of years. So, I don't know. Also, I should have prefaced this before my Dolphins pick. I don't really know the NFL that well. It's kind of shots in the dark, so. But I got Bills coming at 2.
All right. You know, I agree with you there, which we're still... that means that we swapped our 1 and 3 more than likely. But, yeah, the Bills are just a talented team from top to bottom that's been there so many times over the last couple of years. I think that their defense has sort of started to degrade relative to a couple of other teams this year, but that they are a really potent offense with a couple of talented wide receivers, and I don't think Evan even mentioned their best running back for a good reason, which is that he fumbled on his very first NFL possession and proceeded to not get playing time for the next 12 weeks. But James Cook, I still believe that he has the talent to be their lead back and to sort of elevate that offense a little bit. Damian Harris as well will be a great addition for them. But overall, got them at 12-5. Losses against the Cowboys, Eagles, Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins. And like I said, all of those really tough opponents. Patriots tend to be pesky, especially when they're familiar with teams. So I have them taking a couple of wins against division rivals that should be better than them. But the Bills are just too potent to go down to many teams outside of the top talent.
For my division runner-up, I've got the New York Jets coming in at 11-6, 1 game back behind the Bills in a classic Evan fashion here so far in this segment. 2 teams that are neck and neck there. Have them drop into the Cowboys in Week 2, Chiefs in Week 4, Denver Week 5, Philadelphia Week 6, Bills in Week 11, and Dolphins in Week 15. I definitely think that adding Aaron Rodgers to that Jets team, like Jonathan was saying, is going to make the Jets offense very high caliber. Aaron Rodgers may not have looked great last year with the Packers, but that's because he didn't have any wide receivers he could trust, and we know that trust is a huge thing for Aaron Rodgers when it comes to wide receivers. And now he has Garrett Wilson, one of the up-and-coming stars in the league. He's got Alan Lazard, who was literally the only guy that Rodgers trusted last year with the Packers. They also have Randall Cobb because why the fuck not? Bring in Aaron's best friend, apparently. And then that Jets defense is absolutely insane. And if Breece Hall can come back from that injury as good as he was looking at the beginning of last season, their offense is going to be top tier. So I think the Jets will finally make their return to the playoffs for the first time since the Mark Sanchez days, which has got to hurt the soul of every single New York Jets fan out there. But here we are. But over now to Micah for his 3rd place team in the AFC East. Who you got?
have the Jets.
I do have the Jets.
Oh wow! So we all have the Patriots fourth. What a shocker!
I'm not near as high on the Jets as you guys. I actually have them having a losing record this season at 8-9.
Blasphemy!
I don't know much about them. Aaron Rodgers is great, obviously, but a lot of change. I'm not fully sold on it, but gonna ask. We'll see.
Bold claim for a guy whose favorite team has a quarterback with brain damage.
Yeah, but we got Mike McDaniels as our coach, and he's the best. So,
That's a good point. Yeah.
so
Speaking of Mike McDaniels, my third best team in this division is obviously the Dolphins. And actually, they seem to be a playoff team. We're not like spoiling our wild cards quite yet, but I have them at 11-6.
God, you've been giving me crap for stacking divisions. Holy cow!
This division is just stacked. Like I alluded to earlier, like easily the top talent in the division for wide receiver. Sort of a middling defense, but a couple of solid players there to bolster it. And then a quarterback who, by all means, if he can stay healthy, which is always the caveat on these lists, certainly has the ability to elevate his roster and sort of lead this team. Just going 3-3 in the division, I think, I have every single team in this division going 3-3, splitting every series just because it is, in my mind, just such a tight race. But then a couple of tough losses against like the Titans and the Commanders and the Giants that sort of come with the inexperience of not necessarily having been there before, but still able to pull out a strong record and a strong hope at the wild card.
Speaking of Mike McDaniel again, I have the Dolphins my third place team, but I have them going 9-8, likely missing playoffs. We'll see once we get to our wild card segment. Dolphins, I mean, pretty much everybody's schedule in this division is brutal. Main thing, I actually had the Dolphins higher than this at one point. What has concerned me, though, is the current situation with Tyreek Hill and his legal issues at the moment, potentially making him miss some games at the beginning of the season. So I have them dropping Game 1 and Game 2 to the Chargers and the Patriots, and then dropping Week 4 to the Bills, dropping Week 5 to the Giants, and then kind of from there they pick it up a little bit. We also, again, have concerns with Tua and, just with what that guy's been through so far, I'm just not sure I see him being able to make it through a 17-game season, especially since that Dolphins O-line is fine, but it's not top tier by any means. So Tua is going to get hit, and if the Dolphins learned anything from last year with the outrage of how the Tua situation was handled, I think that the Dolphins might wind up overcorrecting a little bit and be very, very cautious with Tua, especially since he's now their franchise quarterback, and they definitely don't want to lose him to a brain injury. So, all right, Micah, what record do you have the Patriots at?
got them at 5-12. I don't think they're gonna do good. The only teams I have them beating are the Cowboys, Saints, Colts, Giants. Yeah, those. And the Raiders. I have them losing to Dolphins twice because even when they had Brady, Dolphins always seem to be able to beat the Pats. So, and the other teams that they're facing, I think the Jets are better than them. Obviously, Eagles, Kansas City, Denver, Pittsburgh. There's a few that they could pick up, like Washington and Pittsburgh, but I'm pretty low on them. I think they're... Yeah, not much needs to be said, I don't think, about them.
Yeah, I think the big thing that needs to be said about them is their coach, who is still among the best in the league and still what?
Hell of a voice crack there, brother.
Yeah, I'm going through puberty right now. Please forgive me. But they still have an incredible coach. They have a little bit more chemistry this year with a couple of years of Mac Jones under their shoulders. And for those reasons, I have them being a losing team by all means, but still eking out 7 wins. A couple of impressive wins against the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bills, because I have them going 3-3 like every other team in this division. But then outside of that, it's a pretty tough slate for them, just beating teams that really you would expect a Bill Belichick-led team with mediocre players to be able to beat. So, yeah, coaching is their biggest strength and not enough to really get them anywhere meaningful.
I'm with Micah. I had them going 5-12 because Mac Jones is a bum. I just have zero faith in him. And to the Patriots' credit, Bill Belichick realized, maybe hiring a defensive guy as my offensive coordinator didn't make sense. And he fired Matt Patricia and actually brought in a guy who is offensive-minded to be the coordinator for the offense. But that doesn't change the fact that Mac Jones is a bum and that the wide receiving core is one of the worst in the league. Like, it's so bad. They also lost Damian Harris. They still have Ramondre Stevenson, but losing Damian Harris for a team that is too running back dependent is a pretty big loss. So I have no confidence in the Patriots at all next year. I have them managing to beat the Dolphins once, beat the Bills, beat the Commanders, beat the Colts, because the Colts are the Colts, and then beat the Giants, and then lose everything else. So they'll be towards the top of the NFL draft next year in my mind. All right. Enough of that NFL talk, because Mike is sure as heck sick and tired of it. We will shift over to the final segment of the day, our betting segment, which is much more up Micah's alley.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is a degenerate gambler.
Indeed.
But we will start out with our 100 units bets. As always, Micah, what have you got for your 100 units bet this week?
100 units bets. I placed a bet this afternoon, and that lost before we even started recording. So I'm going to go back to a bet that I placed a little bit ago. I've got the Las Vegas Aces winning the WNBA championship. They were at minus 105 odds, so obviously they're already the favorite, but pretty even line. They're so good. I mean, they won the season last year and then added Candace Parker. Asia Wilson is phenomenal. Kelsey Plum is so good. Candace Parker is amazing. They're just looking unbeatable this season. So I feel good about that. It hurt to bet against Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty, but I just don't think they're good enough to beat the Aces this year. So I put a few units on that.
Yeah, and for everyone's reference, you can still get that for minus 150. Micah caught it at a better time, but it's still not necessarily a bad bet. So keep an eye out on that. But for my 100 units bet, I am taking Ricky Fowler going golf because I don't like the sports that are on TV right now. I'm sad. Going Ricky Fowler to finish in the top 5 of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. And man, what a classic it is. That's plus 360 odds for quite possibly the best golfer in that tournament to just half a unit there, hoping that he can pull it out.
I don't even know who Ricky Fowler is.
What the hell?
I don't watch golf.
It doesn't matter.
He's the guy that always wears orange.
Okay. I'm going to go over to skipping across all the different sports here. I'm going to go over to the Premier League for soccer. I'm going to do a Premier League futures bet. I'm going to bet that Bournemouth will be relegated at the end of next Premier League season. For those who don't know what relegation is, the 3 teams that finish last in the Premier League get booted down to the next or the below tier of soccer. And Bournemouth barely escaped this year. And so I think they're going to be right in there next year. So I have them at plus 170, put a quarter of a unit for them to get relegated.
Yeah, that's an exciting bet, but I don't know.
I will be rooting against Bournemouth in every single game next season, and I am so excited for it.
All right, and my 10,000 odds is a parlay that includes Jonathan's bet of Ricky Fowler going top 5 in this upcoming tournament starting Thursday. But on top of Ricky Fowler going top 5, I've got Justin Thomas going top 10, Sungjae Im going top 20, Tom Kim going top 30, and Shez Reavie going top 40.
Wow.
And that's at almost plus 12,000 odds.
Yeah, I don't know enough about golf. I know Ricky Fowler. And that's why, for my 10,000 to 1, I'm betting on S.H. Kim. Also,
H or SJ?
SH.
Oh.
Also in the Rocket Mortgage Classic as the outright winner, plus 10K straight up. Not good enough odds because just checking his recent history, he's never finished better than 25th in one of these major
So
tournaments.
don't take this bet, is what he's saying.
But here's the deal: if you just bet $1 on this, when the tournament's over, you'll lose $1. So, quarter of a unit again. like every week for the rest of this summer, I'm just gonna take 1/4 of a unit and just throw it in the trash.
And even when NBA and NFL are going, most of the time these 10,000 to 1 bets is throwing 1/4 of a unit in the trash.
I hate the heat. I was so close to cashing out on that huge one, but never again.
Sucks to suck. All right, and then for my 10,000 to 1 bet, going again with the Premier League futures bet, I'm picking my team, the Brentford Bees, to win the Premier League title last year. They finished 9th this year. I have them winning it all. Just a mere plus 100,000. So very good odds on that for them to win it all. Putting 1/4 of a unit down on that, and better look out. Brentford's coming for Man City. No, we're not. Man City's going to win it again. But hey, let's go Brentford. But with that, that wraps up this episode of the Tackling Basketball Podcast. And Jonathan and I have gotten used to pulling hot takes out of our butts at the end here, but instead we'll let Micah do it today. So Micah, take us out with a hot take.
Justin Herbert is going to be the leading passing yards player in the NFL this season.
Very eloquent. I love it.
Good night, y'all.